Let's talk about astrology for April. So before I get into it, like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and you feel so inclined. I have my website in the description if you would like to book a reading with me. I also have an email list going, so if you sign up for that, you will receive exclusive promotions and little astrological insights. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm super relieved for the month of April. Lots of good things, or lots of annoying things, I should say, coming to an end, thank God. So on April 6th, Mercury stations direct. Hallelujah. This Mercury retrograde has been very annoying to me. I hope you're having a better Mercury retrograde, but it's just been very annoying. So April 6th, Mercury is going to station direct. Hallelujah. My cat has decided to join. He's also very excited about Mercury retrograde coming to an end. So April 6th, Mercury will station direct, and on April 16th, Mercury will re-enter Aries. So it originally was in Aries, then it retrograded into Pisces. So it's gonna station direct in Pisces, and then come April 16th, it will re-enter Aries. I'm really excited for this. I think it's just gonna allow for more movement, especially if you have had plans put on hold during this Mercury retrograde. I think come April 16th, life should kind of open up a little bit more, things becoming more accessible. So I'm very relieved that that's going to happen. Now on April 12th, Venus is going to station direct. Hallelujah! Venus is going to station direct. I think this is another really great event, especially if your finances have been like all over the place. Venus retrograde can be really tricky because for some people it allows for financial movement, whereas for others, depending on, your own financial stuff you got going on, it can kind of slow things down a little bit for you. I come to find that, income and just finances in general aren't super consistent when Venus enters its retrograde period. So it's like, for some people, finances speed up. For others, it kind of slows. So I think this Venus retrograde will really help, coming to an end, will really help people's finances. Now, Venus is going to re-enter Aries on April 30th. So again, it started in Aries, moved back into Pisces. It's going to re-enter Aries on April 30th. And I think this is exciting, especially because now Neptune is in Aries. So I'm kind of excited for all of this Aries energy, essentially. I think it's just going to allow, again, for more momentum. Aries is a very fast-paced sign. And for some people, this Aries Venus, when it re-enters and it moves forward, this can allow for more progress in your relationship. It can allow for more forward motion. So all of that's really exciting. Now, another reason why April 12th is really important is because Sun and Chiron are going to conjunct. They're going to meet in the sky. And this is actually going to take place on April 12th and April 13th, because when Sun changes degrees, so will Chiron, which is actually pretty exciting because Chiron is kind of slow moving. So it doesn't change degrees all that often. So I think the fact that it will be changing degrees with Sun is just a really magical kind of moment. So April 12th to 13th, it's kind of a sensitive time period. Yes, Venus is, stationing direct, but Sun and Chiron linking up in the sky, it can kind of stir up some old wounds. It might, however, help you see certain wounds in a new light, because Aries is, again, it's all about new. It's new beginnings. It's spring. So it might help you kind of confront some of your wounds in a way that you haven't before, and it can allow for more healing. Maybe you've been kind of trapped in this sense of stagnancy with whatever has been, paining you. But Chiron and Sun linking up in the sky might finally give you some insight to try things in a new way, which proves very healing and beneficial. It also wouldn't surprise me if something happens on like a global scale, just because the fact that Chiron and Sun are changing degrees together feels really powerful, obviously. So I wouldn't be surprised if this amounts to some type of global event or affair that is like really shocking and kind of paves the way for something new to take place and unfold. Now, this is the transit that I am most excited for. On April 18th, Mars finally enters Leo. Hallelujah. I am so stoked for this as someone with a Capricorn stellium. Mars has been in Cancer literally since December of last year. Okay, so I am ready for this to be over. Even though Mars stationed direct last month at the end of February, I still just feel this lingering impact of Mars, because even when it stations direct, it was still in Cancer, and Mars falls in Cancer. So Mars essentially has a hard time being in Cancer, and we all have to suffer because of it. So Mars will finally enter Leo on April 18th. I am so excited for this, especially because Mercury retrograde will be over. Venus retrograde will be over. If you've been putting off like doing something to your hair, changing up your appearance, April 18th is like the green light to go ahead and do it. Leo rules over self-expression. It's creative. So if you've been having writer's block, if you've been in a creative funk, come April 18th, that should open up for you completely. So especially because again, on April 12th, Venus stations direct, but then we have that Sun Chiron conjunction, which can allow for deep healing, especially in a new way, a new perspective on maybe an old problem. So come April 18th, I think we should all be in a better position to focus on ourselves, and it not be like a bad focus, essentially, you know what I mean? But something more healing, something therapeutic, something that allows us to feel really good about ourselves. It might be that you finally have an opportunity to get something for yourself that you've been needing. There's this energy of self-care, self-love. And I think for Mars, Leo in general, I'm very much looking forward to this time period. If you have prominent Leo energy in your chart, this is probably going to be really good for you. It can just allow for more ambition, more momentum. It can also just help you feel more in alignment with yourself. It could even bring karmic gifts, especially if you have Leo Mars, in which case this would signify your Mars return, which happens like every 2.5 years. So it's a pretty big deal. So heavy Leo babies and people with Leo Mars, this is a really exciting time period for you. I'm excited for you. So that's something worth talking about. Now, 2 days after that, on April 20th, the Sun is going to move into Taurus. This is exciting in my opinion as well, because Taurus, it's a very lucrative sign. It's very pleasure oriented. It's a little bit indulgent. It also has a lot to do with finances. So for some people, depending on where Taurus is in your chart in terms of your houses, or if you have personal Taurus placements, this can allow for more financial clarity. It can allow for maybe some splurging. You might be tempted to spend money, especially because Mars will be in Leo, and Leo loves to spend. Leo is a little bit of a shopaholic, shopping therapy. So when Sun moves into Taurus, you might be on the more indulgent side, wanting to feel good, wanting to party, wanting to celebrate, wanting to eat chocolate, wanting to have some martinis, wanting to go to the mall, you know what I mean? Like just wanting to enjoy life. So I'm very excited for that Sun-Mars combo, even though technically Mars and Sun do square, which brings me to a very important transit coming up. From April 21st to April 27th, so that time frame, Mars, Sun, and Pluto in the sky are going to form a T-square. So Mars in Leo is going to oppose Aquarius Pluto, and then Sun in Taurus is going to, form that T-square to those opposing celestial bodies. This is very, very intense. There is a kind of kaboom energy here. Fixed signs, they're congested. They're emotionally congested. It's really hard to move the energy. It doesn't like to move. However, when we have a T-square and we have all of these fixed forces joining up and forming these oppositions in the square, and there's a push-pull energy, it's kind of like the shoe drops. You know what I mean? Like there's so much conflict and that something is bound to happen. So it wouldn't surprise me if the week from April 21st, I think that's the day I gave you, to April 27th, it really wouldn't shock me if there is some type of major conflict in the world. Pluto it's the outermost planet in our immediate solar system, whatever. So it has a lot to do with like larger societal global affairs. And that T-square, with Mars is an aggressive planet. It's competitive, it's action oriented. Pluto is a destructive planet, but it is transformative. And then Sun is Sun. It's going to highlight, it's going to spotlight. So it wouldn't surprise me if some crazy kind of world event takes place and it's all over the news, or you know what I mean? There's a spotlight, there's a focus, there's something that's going to be pulling all of our attention and our energy to a concentrated, again, fixed energy is so concentrated, it's dense, it's congested, it's kind of one track minded. It's not a multitasker, it can't focus on a million things at once. So it might be one really big event that takes place that draws all of our attention and all of our energy towards whatever that thing is. And it might have economic consequences because of that Taurus energy. So, it wouldn't surprise me if something kind of crazy happens that week. But at the end of the day, fixed energy, even though it is associated with predictability, there is an unpredictable edge to fixed signs. And that is just because, again, there's a kaboom element to them. They tend to be stagnant for so long, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion. You know what I mean? And I think Aquarius as a fixed sign is kind of a good common example of that, because Aquarius has a lot to do with unexpected events, abrupt changes. And again, Pluto's in Aquarius. So this combination of energy could, result in an unexpected worldly event, okay? And throughout all of this, Neptune will be experiencing its first month in Aries. So it already did move into Aries on March 30th. However, April's going to be kind of like, we're getting a teaser. We're getting a preview of what we can really expect long-term from Aries Neptune. So in the midst of all these planets, all the more personal planets moving into new signs and changing, we're going to have Venus, Mercury, and Mars all moving, and Sun. Oh my gosh. Mercury, Venus, Sun, and Mars all moving into new signs this month. So be prepared for a lot of changes. The energy is really going to pick up and accelerate. There is probably going to be some interesting global affairs take place, especially again, April 21st to 27th. And, those dates are like when the aspects are pretty much conjunct, like the degree is essentially the same degree or within like a 1-2 degree orb. But, especially when it's a transit aspect involving Pluto, you can kind of feel it like even a few days before that April 21st, and it can definitely have a lingering effect as well, especially because it is a T-square. So the effects of that time are huge. Okay, I hope all of that made sense. I'm excited for this month. I think it's going to be hopefully what we all need, fingers crossed. Let me know in the comments if you are excited for this month or what you might be predicting to transpire. And again, like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I have my email in the description, my website in the description if you would like to book with me. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Mwah.